believe we need guns and bullets, but I do believe Washington was correct. He goes, our independence and freedom is not based on the point that we have firearms. He said it's that we have enough ammunition. They had enough ammunition. The government bought 2 billion bullets last year. Madison said, what makes us free is that our representatives want us the most well-armed civilian in the world.
Say that again.
We're only free because we're the best armed civilians in the world. The first law of natural law is self-defense, protection of life. Then the idea of life, property is all what's so important here. But understand something, when they start signing your agreed about this life and protection stuff, the socialist, the collectivist, always exempts themselves. Let's not forget that Tom's been exempt from Obamacare. Let's not forget that President Obama is exempt from this. Don't forget his staff, they get a stipend to pay for it. Let's not forget that. Let's don't forget there is that 15-member death panel that rations care. If you're bored, GregBrannon.com, under my essays, I have all my things I've been writing over for years on there. I brought a bunch of on Common Core today. I'm speaking in New Bern on Common Core and Liberty on Saturday. And my TV show called Constitution and Liberty is on there. It's on Roku, Apple, all those things live at 2 o'clock on Saturdays. But all the archives are archived on the webpage. I also last week started a federal PAC called LibertyActionNow.org. Just sign up. We try to send emails out 2 times a week with education material, try to build something. Half the money must go to education, and my passion is adoption, abortion, and education and pure knowledge. That's what it's going to go to. And the other half is I will never spend on a candidate that cannot pass my constitutional test. I will never just endorse a guy because he's a good guy or a good girl. There's just no way. And if we do that, because I still believe the system is the best. I don't want a new constitution. I think this one's fantastic. But we need men and women in there that honor it. Now, I'm going to be careful. I'm going to say this on this thing called Convention of States. Ever heard of this Article 5 convention? Yeah. Now, how do you guys want that? You know what that is? We all get together and fix the Constitution? Okay. In Article 5, read the Constitution. It's very important. Here's the question. Why are people good-hearted people are talking about that? Because the federal government's overstepped their bounds. Let's go back to the Constitution. Article 6, Clause 2 says the Constitution is supreme law of the land and pursuant thereof. Iredell in 1788, who was appointed the first Supreme Court Justice by George Washington at our Hillsborough Convention, was asked that question by Mr. Timothy Bloodworth. What does the pursuant thereof mean? And here's the first Supreme Court Justice said, if Congress should ever usurp their power and pass a law that's not there, it is null and void in the states. So, where's health Obamacare? Where's all these progressive income tax? Where are all these things that are there? Now, the 9th Amendment protects the individual, the 10th protects the state. So the 10th Amendment is how you stop these things, called nullification. And if you want to go over time on that, how it's worked to stop slavery. So, we just got to say no. In 2005, George Bush wanted a national ID Act. 26 states said no. Just say no. Martin Luther King's way of passive resistance is the way to go. No. No. Say no. And the House members, who's your congressman here? Who's in this district?
Is it George?
George, he's mine as well. Yeah, George, defund him. He's conservative. Oh, he voted for the Farm Bill. He voted for amnesty. He's conservative.
Yeah.
Baloney. Hold him accountable. Everybody should be primaried 1,000 times. Now, why do you want to do Article 5? In Article 5, if you look at it correctly, Congress makes the rules. So the same guys we don't trust now are going to make the rules for the convention. Now you hear it, it's limited. If you read it, it doesn't say that. There's been only one time in our nation's history we had a convention. You know what happened? You know who ran it? It was a coup. The Articles of Confederation was our Constitution. The state, Convention of States, gave each of those people, the legislators gave them, to amend the Articles of Confederation. Madison did not amend it. He threw it away and did a new one. actually, his didn't work. He wanted the president for life. He wanted a centralized government. Sherman wanted the Jersey wanted a smaller one. Sherman, they mauled. But the bottom line, it was a coup. We have it now. I would have been a Henry guy. I would have voted for it. Henry said, I smell rats. He didn't want to go. But again, a coup. Now, the latest convention I can look back in American history is North Carolina. In 71, our new Constitution was done. Read our Constitution today. We have no private property. Your house is taxed ad valorem. Your car, anything you want to. Ad valorem tax means you're leasing that piece of property from the government.
Amen. That's right.
To pay, that's the first plank of Karl Marx. That was private property. The 10th is government schools. We take those monies, pay government schools. So government schools are a monopoly. Isn't America a free market? Isn't America supposed to be freedom of choice and asking questions? So look at a convention today with those men and women in the room. That means the Second Amendment's out, the First Amendment's out. They've already passed a law in Congress to actually give First Amendment only to journalists. Where was Burr on that vote? He voted to let it go. He voted against cloture to have it on the floor. So that's where we're at today. So I don't want it to be a bummer day, but when I'm operating and I see a big blood vessel bleeding and it's rocking and rolling, I don't go, well, that's a tough case. I'll go over here where it's not bleeding. First I need to put my finger on the blood vessel. So the nurse gets me the right clamp. So I can isolate the clamp properly. So I don't hit the ureter and I make sure it's the right thing and I clamp it properly. I go back to my foundational, constitutional principles of pelvic surgery. If we don't put our finger on this and have the backbone not to waver, we're done. And when the flame of liberty goes away, there are three things that Hegel, one of the guys that competed against him a few years later, Schopenhauer out of Germany, Prussia, three things, after you lose them, you realize how precious they were because you would never get them back. Your youth, your health, and your freedom. So I'm hoping I can motivate us not to quit. But I'm begging you not to vote for any progressive, regardless of party. If we do that, I believe there'll be two parties. One on progressive statism and one on liberty. I don't know what you call them. But I believe that one should be based upon the Constitution, or even better, the Declaration of Independence. When it's based upon that, then we can filter everything through that and say yes or no. But I believe in you. I don't believe in people in Raleigh or D.C. I believe you not take care of kids better than they do. So let's stand up and be firm. You know, it was illegal to have homeschool to 1983 in this state? Now there's more homeschoolers than private schools. And my wife's a public school teacher in LA, New York, Chicago. I love education. I love it so much I want the government out of it. I love healthcare so much I want the government out of it. So any questions or anything you have, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hey Joe, can I have some water?
Yeah.
Appreciate
She stood up first. Even though I do women over him, but she said, yeah, he said.
appreciate you talk. Got two questions. One, in 2000 I did a write-in because is what I felt, believe, and convicted in my heart. And later on I kind of changed, and my question is, you know, like the last election, I voted Republican because I felt by default it wouldn't be canceling out another vote for a Democrat. Now, while I haven't seen a Republican that I really liked since Reagan, you know, what do you do there? I mean,
You're the problem. You're the problem. I was the problem too.
Okay.
Because you capitulate on your beliefs. Again, forget R&D. If you voted R today for the Senate, you voted for a man who believes in everything you're against.
Right. No, I got that.
Okay.
But then by default, if I don't make that vote, is it not actually one more vote going for D?
I believe God can't handle a Democrat. There are Democrats who are saved. You know what I mean? It's not the D and the R part. It's do you believe in the progressive statism or do you believe in liberty? It's either it's one or the other. It's liberty or death. You cannot mix a little bit of diarrhea and call that good food.
Gotcha.
That's what I believe. I mean, I may be wrong in that, but I've had talks with friends of mine up in the center right now, and they go, Greg, you just don't compromise on these things. I go, no, I won't, because they're confined. Like this restaurant, I've used it before. would we all compromise if we have to paint this room before we leave it? And I want blue, you want pink, you want yellow. Would we eventually compromise? Yeah, thanks. Would we eventually compromise to paint the room to leave? I would say yes. But the first we're going to ask ourselves is, did the restaurant hire us to paint the room? Our opinion on the paint in this room is irrelevant unless they hired you to paint the room. We didn't hire them to have Common Core, to have Obamacare. So you voted for a man, I'll just say I'm being just generic, who actually, when Obamacare came in, I'm screaming from the rooftops, defund it. It's not all going Section 8, and my opponent, who had the power, made it the state exchanges. So I'd rather have the party. I'd rather have the party fall, freedom blow up.
Right.
No, Beck talks about it all the time too. Yes, sir.
Second question, are you planning on running again?
I gotta run home later tonight. But you mean run for the office? I don't know. I don't know where God has me. I felt led to run when I ran. In 2008, I felt clear to prepare for 14. I read 4 books a week for about 6 years. I prepared hard. I did not learn this knowledge just to be factoid crap. I love debating liberal attorneys, my favorite, because I think it's hilarious. I hope I motivate Joel to run for mayor or commissioner, or you for against Holding. See, I'm hoping that in our primary, 85% did not vote. What if just 50% showed up and voted for guys like Mike Lee, Rand Paul? Yeah. Okay? Well, what if that happened at the county level? Agenda 21 is real. It's a destruction of humanity. And they're all dividing the pies up. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, did I hear right? I thought I heard the news media say that Walter Jones refused to hear Netanyahu.
I don't know, but I was with Walter on Friday. I don't know if you listen to that or not. Again, nothing. My mother-in-law is Jewish, okay? And this whole pro-Israel thing gets me a little frustrating. I know Genesis 1-12, 1-3 very, very well. Very important is this. It's where in the Constitution do we do these things? Now, we need allies around the world. I understand all that. But when you look back at what's going on there, what if America, who has the most oil, shale, gas, nuclear power the world's ever seen, what if we were energy independent? George Washington said in his farewell address, I think paragraph 30-37, have 0 permanent allegiances. 0. Because you're going to have blood and treasure spilled that's not for you. Jefferson said, have none with Europe. They fight all the time. Washington, Adams, Madison, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, and Madison all fought the Barbary Pirates. See how they fought the war. There's a way to do it. The question is why we're there. Now look at the whole thing. ISIS, guys, America funds it. This was they're using, they got from us through Benghazi. So this is not a black and white that one's bad and one good. We should stay out of civil wars. That's it?
I got a question. Had a couple people that had messaged me. First person said, this guy's older. He's,
whoa, I'm 54. How old is he?
He's in his 70s, late 70s.
Okay, so 3 digits is old.
Okay, all right. He's a former professor at Barton College, and he said that after that vote of the 75, was it 75, that voted the day before yesterday to fund it was amnesty. It was amnesty. And he said, basically, I'm giving up. I'm done. The Democrats, the Republicans, they're all the same. Why should I, what are we supposed to do, and why should I do any of that?
Okay, 2 things. He's right. I believe we are done. 100% I think we're gone unless we say no more. And I think the bigger one, I think the way you put your pressure is George Holding should never have the phone should never stop ringing, his email should never stop going off. Okay, number 1. Number 2, whoever is in your state house and state senate should have the same thing, because they have the power in Article 6, Clause 2, and 9 and 10. They don't know it. I've had meetings, they do not understand. They believe the state is subservient to the federal government. and the halls of Tripoli, right there. That was Jefferson's war against the Muslims in Libya.
Right, 1801.
So,
What was
so,
that section again of the Constitution?
okay, and I'm not being sarcastic here, because I am a very, people, then there's race, everything, I'm so serious. I'm the most, it's part of where I work today. I mean, I don't like, I love to laugh and joke, but I have a lot of black humor. But the Constitution's 6 pages. You should know backwards and forwards. The Bill of Rights is 1 page, and the Declaration is a page and a half. So when I quote all these things, it's not to say, ooh, I'm smart. It's because I should know this. I'm hiring a person at the state level who takes an oath to uphold it, and the federal level to uphold it, right? So we got to hold them as oath keepers. So here, but this is really important. And the Constitution is a legal contract between sovereigns. Now there's debate if you and I as individuals are even under that, because we were not around when that was signed. So there's a whole other thing over there. Because why were you born on this? Why are you under this? Okay, because you're a free individual, but we'll debate that later. But the Constitution has 7 articles. An article is just a section. The first section is Article 1, which is the legislative branch. That's the House, the Senate, and it walks through what they do and their rules and how they make the rules up and how they get elected. That's Article 1. And in Article 1, there's 33 functions the government must do. Article 2 is the executive, the president. There's 13 functions he must do. And in his section is where he has his particular oath to the Constitution, the president. Okay? Article 3 is really short. Only 3 sections. That's the Supreme Court has 6 functions. Then Article 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 is where they vote on it. 6 is where they give their oath. And they walk through the details of where they have their Article 5 is the amendment process. So they have these symptoms there. So in Article 6, Section 2 is where the oath is in Section 4. Section 2 says who the Constitution is over. The Constitution is supreme law in the land in pursuant thereof. That phrase is crucial. What does pursuant thereof mean? It means what's written in Article 1, Section 8. It means what the Constitution says. In the body of the Constitution, the functions that the states are giving it to do, that's pursuant thereof. Okay? That's it. And then the Bill of Rights came 2 years later, is a Bill of Rights, not that the government gave us. It's really important to read the introduction of the Bill of Rights. Because it says, we're writing this declaratory statements to be restrictive on the federal government. And then the Bill of Rights protects the inalienable rights. That the government, like, they can have an issue on Second Amendment. Like, Tillis and I had a debate in Davidson on this. The question was, what about the crazy person? Should they have a gun? And Tom says, of course there should be laws at the federal level to protect the people that get guns. And I said, no. He goes, you mean a crazy person should have guns? And I said, the question was the federal level. The Bill of Rights says, shall not infringe. Local government will decide what to do with that. But at the same time, do you want the federal psychiatrist to say who's crazy? Military vets. 70% are antidepressants. Would you be antidepressant if you're over there protecting poppy fields? So the government will say who deserves medicine, who gets their first inalienable right, the right of self-defense. Scary stuff. That's why you cannot let them over here. So again, it's so important. Ask George this. He's the constitutional lawyer supposed to be. Ask your state house members. Ask them this. If not, you have to run. You got to run. That's why they're scared to death of us. They will have this primary process where they squeeze us all out. And when you run, be prepared to be called everything bad in the world. Just prepare for that. I'm the most rotten person in the world. You know, I just the way it is. Because they know they don't know it. And they're scared to death. But I wish we didn't have any primary. Have a primary you want. But if you want to run for office, why is your name on the ballot in November? What are we scared of? Who cares 1,000 names on there? Run. But they want to limit your choices between which progressive and which progressive. That's it? Sorry about your view, guys.
You're right.
Well, women.
I don't know whether you can answer this or not, and I don't want to get off on another subject, but this state passed an amendment to the Constitution about banning gay marriage, and a judge overturned that amendment. Is that legal?
No.
Do the voters not have to repeal the
No, let me
amendment?
go through this all again.
We let it go.
May 10th, 2012, I was in the Villa Mesa, I did an hour on Amendment 1. And I was hammered by people that supported Harris and Tillis that was for gay marriage because of my answer on that show. Let's be really clear on why I voted for Amendment 1, even though they said I wasn't. Is I don't believe the government should be involved in marriage. Marriage is a God-given institution between one man, one woman, period.
Amen.
Period. There's Judge Baltano in his book, there's 1,114 federal laws on your marriage. Why? Why? I said I'm supporting Amendment 1 because of the constitutionality of it. I don't want the federal government or another state telling me what marriage is. I said churches must stand up.
Amen.
And the churches don't. So back to your state. Can a federal judge down here tell a state that's not listed their function what to do? The answer is no. The answer is no.
Why have we
Ask
tested
McQuarrie.
that?
Ask McQuarrie. Ask Stam. Ask Berger. Ask them. Ask Cooper, who is going to probably be our next governor. He's going to. And why do Republicans not run something against him? Ask Cooper's only function is to defend the states against the federal government. So the federal government, again, they're chained. These are the words Henry used, Jefferson used, Madison used. The federal government is chained to these things. They cannot discuss this. The answer is you have no standing. Zero. I'm not going to listen to your answer. If tomorrow the Supreme Court said, well, they already did. They said in 73 that a baby in the womb is expendable. In February 29th, 2012, in the Journal of Bioethics in Australia, they said, we know abortion's fine. Why do we stop at birth? Why not post-term abortion? Post-birth abortion, infanticide. They're supporting that around the world now. Slippery slope. Liberty or death.
Amen.
Now the marriage part is very interesting to me. I don't want the church, see, I don't want a theocracy. A theocracy is where you have to have certain religious beliefs to be in the idea of government. No, I want a secular government based upon Judeo-Christian beliefs. Jesus did not need the government to force what he believed. In fact, governments manipulate him for their benefits. Because if he was in this room today and asked you to join him, he would not make you, he'd ask you. So why should the government force the hand? Churches stand up. That's what it has to be. But constitutionally, why I voted for it is I don't believe the federal government or another state that reflects on us. This is my paper I wrote. Here's the answer for abortion to get rid of it tomorrow. Congressman Stockman in 1996, Congressman Paul in 2007, Congressman Brannon in 2013 passed a one-sentence law. Life begins at conception. They got no support. None. Zero. The government gave $450 million to Planned Parenthood. Bill Gates and Buffett support Planned Parenthood. Okay. If you do that, then start an amendment process. Have each state debate when life begins. Because once you decide, the word fetus in Roman law, Roman times, meant a child at the age of 18. In Latin, it means from life. In fact, in their case, they said if we knew when the fight is over a human versus a person. A person gets rights, a human doesn't. See, this is semantics. We should always err on life. When's life begin? Your DNA starts the moment that miracle happens. Heartbeat, closed circuit at 20 days. Neural activity, day 19. This is my article. So, but again, so what we do is in 1866, Congress passed a law, the Civil Rights Amendment, saying all prior property, we blew it, are humans. They all get God's natural right. We're not giving it to them, we're acknowledging they get life, living property. 2 years later, 14th Amendment passed to make it constitutional. Same thing we should do for life. And if we had that debate, we know life would win. Somebody else had their hand up.
What if I change over to the independent, unaffiliated rather? Would that help if more people would switch over?
I don't know, I think so, but I'm not a strategist here. Greg, why have you not left the Republican Party yet? I don't know, because the principles we say we believe, I believe. But I did a TV show a few weeks ago on the 2012 Republican platform. In it, it says, we're the party of the introduction says, we're the party of the Constitution. And they listed 6 things they want to do, all 6 on Constitution. So, I don't know. All I know is any party survives on your vote, your sweat, and your money. I would give it to them. I would never give it to them again. I would never give it to a party ever again. Find your candidate, or you become the candidate. But I think unaffiliated, I think that might be a good thing to do. See, if I do this, and I was on tape, if I do that, then if I want to come back and I have to figure what's the best way to run for something, and I got to get back in the party. Well, you left the party. I know them. Okay. No, I want to say on principles. You left the party, sir. You don't believe in what you say. Boehner said he never even reads the platform. They left the party. But I want to break that further, sir. I want to be a constitutionalist. I want to be a Christian first, saved first, a true believer in our declaration. That's what I'm looking at. Over here, I hand up.
I got some. I think a lot of people in this room are frustrated and don't know what to do. And my question to you, Greg, is I think there's a lot of people in this room that want to run. There's a fear. They go, what do I run for? What do I do? Where do I run? Where can I be effective with my assets, with my thinking?
Okay, I've been honored that I'm the chairman of the Liberty Torch PAC. Look it up, Liberty Torch PAC. A bunch of liberty lovers put it together. Mr. Bennett, Mr. Williams put it together to raise money for guys like
I've
you
seen that, yeah.
for state offices. What I would do is, I believe they're good people. I would not put my name if I did not. I would look it up, check their webpage out, and put money into that to find candidates that were going to be, they're not going to waver. I started a PAC on the federal level called Liberty Action Now, same thing. But I don't care if it's mine or yours, I don't care what the money is, because you don't save your own money. But the sad thing is, you need money to run.
Yeah.
But I still believe it's not money. I want to do is the 85% of people that not vote, I want to go to them.
Right.
And I want them to show up on primary day, but we should not just in a primary day, that's my problem. By rule, if I lost the primary, which I did, I could not run in November. So I built all this momentum up. What, they're scared of me afterwards? What if I did get to run?
Yeah.
So I knew the rules going into that. So the question is, why did Stam and Berger and all the guys in Raleigh, why are they making all these rules that restrict the sovereign's choice? That's the question.
I have another follow-up question to that. Should we, out of this room, this amount of people, should we bombard George Holding's email, his office, and express our disappointment in him voting for amnesty? Because I know what those numbers are going to do.
I think the answer is yes.
Holding and others. Holding and Tillis all.
I think all of them, I would do that.
Would we be effective?
Over time, the only effects are going to be, right now, Tom is for 6 years, he don't care.
You don't care.
Okay. Burr's up in 2 years.
Right.
Now, you'll watch some people, they'll vote, what's called procedural votes. They'll vote, an example like this, they'll vote on a bill that's like for amnesty.
Right.
They'll vote for it to come out of the floor, to get out of the committee to get to the floor. And then they know there's enough votes to pass, they'll vote against it. I voted against it.
Yeah.
But dude, if you voted for against it here, it never would have been here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the bottom line is again, it's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot of sacrificial people, like a sacrifice, like myself. But yeah, but at the end of the day, when you have George and a Democrat, I got to vote for him. See,
Yeah.
they count on that. That's the thing. What's going to happen? Come 54, Reagan was like our guy, right?
Yeah.
Now, read out more. There's more stuff he did I didn't like, but now that I know more, but I still, if that governor, I'll take him tomorrow if he was our chance. But,
Sure.
But still, the things he did, I'm not happy with now. But we had the Reagan Revolution, which we're part of, about our same age.
Yeah.
How much smaller is the federal government?
Much bigger.
Okay, we had Reagan for 8, the Bushes for 12, we had Gingrich, we had Boehner, we had at one time George W., the Senate, the House. How much smaller is the federal government? 6 times bigger. There was no partial birth abortions in 1980.
No.
You know what that means? We're taking a baby who's going to live outside the womb. Picture that. Now, I'm an OBGYN. I've taken babies out there 8 months of age who've already passed away. I'm not gonna talk about it, but you don't want to. How can we not take care of society like that? So when I hear we gotta compromise, Craig, you gotta vote for this. Come on. So we took the names away. Obamacare, state exchanges, public-private partnerships, toll roads, amnesty, illegal wars, bank bailouts. Burr voted for a bill, TARP, $800 billion to the banks. You know how much money the banks ultimately got? 26 trillion that you and I are the nut for. And and Burr's gonna win.
Yeah, shit. Done deal.
I guess something that I struggle with and that I'm hoping you might have a word of hope, even if it's for literally decades down the road, but I look at our populace in general, and not only do I see a lot of ignorance, but I see happy ignorance, intellectual laziness. They kind of realize they're pretty ignorant, and they're fine with that.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to work toward a greater understanding of freedom because they like their goodies. They're happy with all the things that the government gives them, and they can't even think outside the box enough to realize that they shouldn't be coming from where they're coming from. And
I may not make you
what
happy
do
with
you
my
do?
answer, because I think you may be wrong here. More people know who Kardashian's kid is than something, right? It's on purpose, right? But when you start picturing that, there's two types of welfare. Okay, the social welfare, also the corporate welfare. They have a thing called the Export-Import Bank, which gives loans to big companies. 67% of its money goes to Boeing. Now, some of the most conservative people in the world are the inner city black women. The most conservative there are. They're fighting their rear ends off to get their kids school choice. They're gonna have stuff. 47% don't pay taxes. 100% should not pay taxes. That's your private property. Have we ever thought that process out? You have a farm. You have to have 100 acres of corn, and you work your butt off with your kids out there. You harvest it, you seed it, you wash it, and then when you're done having all the corn, you got to husk it and do it all. And you got to take 40%